My sister stole the family business. I took her name, her house, and her marriage. I took her name, her house, her marriage. Not because I'm cruel, because she mistook me for background noise. "You're the boring one with spreadsheets," she said. She didn't know I'm fluent in timestamps and printer dots. The first crack wasn't dramatic. It was a $2.19 charge labeled board meeting, glitter spa. That number tapped my forehead like a gavel. I promised myself restraint. The bank promised me a case number. What you'll get? Receipts that bite, a family dinner that turns theatrical, and a judge who likes verbs more than tears. Stakes? The company, my parents' trust, Ethan's lungs. Start where the math blinked. Family, business, and a sister who loves control. Our parents built a respectable service company out of stubborn trucks, burned coffee, and a ledger heavy enough to be a weapon. Dad keeps that green cloth book like a psalm. Mom keeps the phones polite with pies. I keep the place running. Routes, midnight breakdowns, the mysterious rattle that only happens when a client's watching. Boring is the point. Boring makes payroll. My sister Olivia collects titles like handbags, strategist, vision, managing director, self-appointed, glittered, rehearsed. She loves meetings with candles and quotes. She loves the word modernizing the way pirates love boarding. She loves walking into a room and changing the thermostat without asking. Ethan, her husband, is a golden retriever in a button-down. Big heart, big trust. He thinks EBITDA is a yoga pose and float is about pool toys. He believes in Olivia, medium roast, and the last TED Talk he watched at 125x. He tries hard, tries to help, tries to understand spreadsheets like they're another language with too many polite words. We split the finances into tribes because history taught us to. Tribe 1, Dad's ledger, ink grooves, and coffee ghosts. Tribe 2, my software, permissions, audit logs, dashboards that prefer numbers over feelings. Tribe 3, Olivia's decks, arrows that curve into nowhere, buzzwords that sweat under lights. The arrangement keeps peace until it doesn't. I didn't notice the first hairline crack because it winked, not shouted. A vendor called Mom about a retainer for a consultant we'd allegedly hired. Mom said, "I don't retain people, I birth them," which is her way of saying, try again. The invoice had our logo, a fake address, and a signature that looked like Dad's on a treadmill. Familiar shape, out of breath. Olivia waved it off. "Industry standard," she said, like a blessing she learned on YouTube. 2 days later, Ethan Venmo'd Olivia. My half of the pitch brunch. My half stuck out like a nail. We don't split company meals in half because we don't bill romance to the shop. I filed it under hum. Dad shuffled in, smelled like sawdust no matter the beverage, and tapped the ledger. "You seeing anything?" he asked in our family dialect, half worry, half dare. "Not yet," I said, which means I'm turning the light on. He tapped my forehead. "Numbers don't lie. People do. If the page gets loud, listen." It sounded like advice. It felt like a premonition. Then the $2.19 hit. Board meeting, glitter spa. Not $2,000, not even 20. $2.19. A test swipe. Anyone who's ever canceled a card knows that rhythm. The kind of, "Are you alive?" you run before the real spending. The memo called it board meeting. Our board is Mom, Dad, a coffee maker older than me, and me. None of us exfoliate for quorum. I laughed, then noticed my hands shaking. Clicking didn't calm it. Filtering did. I pulled 2 months of card exports and let the software chew on categories. Hospitality, wellness, leadership, retreat. The spreadsheet coughed up microcharges in pretty fonts. Maison Chevre, Candle Commune, Glow Lounge, the kind of places that mist eucalyptus over your guilt. Our clients wear steel-toe boots and Band-Aids like accessories. They don't eat goat cheese towers for synergy. I cross-checked Instagram because Instagram is the world's least secure alibi. There she was. Board dinner, Maison Chevre, dress I recognized, wrong date stamp, caption trying too hard. That night we ate soup and argued about croutons. The bank record agreed with the soup, not the caption. The algorithm forgives. Ledgers don't. Ethan texted me, blinking eyes in emoji form, asking if pitch brunches count as ops. I said, "Depends whose pitch." He said, "She said it's simpler to run through the studio LLC. We don't have a studio." He swallowed the word studio like it was lint and tried to smile through the phone. I did what boring people do when something smells wrong. I backed up the week's exports to read only. I named the folder something I'd recognize in a panic. Is it business or is it champagne? I set a screen recorder to molasses so a judge could keep up if one ever needed to. Chain of custody is love in my language. Olivia breezed into the shop with a perfume that sounds like an invoice. "We're scaling," she announced, like the sea listens. Don't slow walk change because you're scared. I said, I'm not scared. I'm counting. She smiled with all her teeth, weather warning in human form. Mom appeared in the doorway with 2 cookies, one for me, one for whoever needed grace. She whispered, your sister says it's normal to carry balances. I said, for trampolines, sure. For payroll, no. Mom blinked. We don't sell trampolines, she said. Exactly. The $2.19 winked again from the corner of my screen, a neon speck that refused to be dismissed. If fraud is a leak, it rarely looks like a waterfall first. It looks like glitter. It looks like a joke. It looks like underestimation, wearing lipstick, standing in my parents' shop, calling itself leadership. That was the day I stopped trusting captions and started listening to receipts. The micro clue, tiny charges, big pattern. I treated $2.19 like a lab culture. If one glitter germ lived, there were colonies. I pulled 90 days of card activity and fed the filter the words Olivia loves. Hospitality, wellness, client, leadership, off-site, retreat. The screen bloomed like confetti you later regret vacuuming. Polish in purpose. Cuticle Collective, Candle Commune, Glow Lounge, Dog Yoga, tagged Employee Development. Our crew's idea of wellness is a seat on a milk crate and ibuprofen from a coffee mug. No one downward dogs before loading valves. I grouped by merchant, then by memo. Board dinner, Maison Chèvre. Client gifts, Bloom Boutique. Leadership retreat, Cedar Loft. The amounts looked like lint, $14, $27, $42, until the totals stood up and cleared their throats. The dates cuddled Instagram posts that said, launch energy and culture matters. The captions lied. The ledger didn't. Then the duplicate trick blinked at me. Bloom Boutique appeared twice. Same day, same total within 90 cents. Once coded marketing, once supplies. 12 peonies multiplied like rabbits on paper and showed up in Olivia's selfie Monday, captioned, earned, not given. I printed the invoices and wrote woof in the corner because levity keeps boring people from biting furniture. Next, reimbursements. Olivia wasn't submitting to accounting at. She was routing to something called Operations Services LLC. We don't have one. Secretary of State did. Operations Services LLC, Manager O, Lake, mailing address a UPS store. The humility of that initial O felt like a stage whisper. It's me. I screenshotted the filing and circled ups 3 times for future theater. Merchant Saves betrayed her too. The espresso place, whose croissants allegedly counted as supplier credits, had profiles on file. O Lake, business, card ending 4421. We only issued 0064 and 0991. 4421 belonged to someone else's bank with a nickname at multiple counters, Ops Platinum. Not our naming convention, not our bank. I took a photo of the POS list, blurred civilians, left 4,421 naked. Calendar archaeology for dessert. Her invite titled Board Dinner, Maison Chèvre, sat on the soup at home night with a goat emoji like the calendar was in on it. Her phone never left our zip code between 5 and 10 p.m. Dad's family location sharing. Trucks get stolen, not kids. The bank, however, showed 2 entrees, 1 bottle, 1 dessert that cost as much as tires. The signature stroke looked like she was tipping destiny. I built a 3-column timeline. Money, calendar, Instagram. Money first, it doesn't improvise. Calendar next, it fibs but keeps a trail. Instagram last, it self-incriminates with filters. I dragged dates together until patterns clicked like Lego. Charges spiked whenever captions said, we're scaling. The dog yoga bundle landed the same week. Payroll reconciled. Reconciled is a nice word for Rob Peter to pay Pilates. Then the loop. Funds left our account to a processor as supplier credit, re-entered as a refund to Ops Platinum at Mariner Mutual. Round-trip laundering for toddlers. I sketched arrows on butcher paper and wrote espresso forensics because absurdity needed a label. Ethan texted another Venmo. My half of pitch brunch. Captured. I asked why he paid instead of expensing. He wrote, she said simpler. Simpler is a religion. You tithe 10% and never check statements. I went public record deep. Mariner Mutual's IVR wanted an authorized officer. I said I'd wait and called our bank instead. Do we have any issued card ending 4,421? No. I filed an SIU ticket. Suspected internal impersonation. Cross-bank product. Attached screenshots, timeline, merchant saves, the UPS store LLC, and 1 petty note. Board meetings don't exfoliate. Then the clincher. A calendar block titled Leadership Retreat, Cedar Loft. Same weekend, our payroll held for Recon. The card paid for Creative Suite, brand rate. I pulled the folio in person. Name on the account. O. Lake, Ops, Platinum, 4421. The desk clerk smiled kindly. She's here a lot. I smiled back like I enjoyed oxygen. The printer spat the folio. I added it to a pile I could feel through the table. I made copies, read-only exports, screen recordings with my cursor moving slowly, like I was teaching a judge how to mouse. 2 encrypted sticks labeled Jelly Bean and Cauliflower, names that keep thieves bored. I named the folder like a dare. Is it business or is it champagne? The $2.19 blinked from the top like a lighthouse. Fine. If this was a leak, it had a glitter trail, a goat emoji alibi, and a card I didn't authorize. The pattern wasn't noise anymore. It was a siren. Building the suspicion. Receipts versus vibes. I brewed coffee that tasted like burned decisions and opened the exports like I was clocking in for jury duty. Filters on. Hospitality, wellness, consulting, leadership, retreat, offsite, team. The sheet didn't argue. It bloomed. Maison Chèvre, Bistro Chanterelle, Cedar Loft, Glow Lounge, Candle Commune, the Executive Nook, which rents nap pods by the quarter hour to people who bully interns. Leadership hits clustered around Olivia's launch energy reels. If astrology wore a lanyard, it would look like this. Then the ghost digits kept surfacing. 4421. My bank feed had it tucked in masked lines as corporate ops like a raccoon in a suit. We only issued 0064 and 0991, not ours. I dug the statements saved in a folder named Q4_reclasses_2 final, which is a confession in PDF. Header, Mariner Mutual. Card nickname, Ops Platinum. We don't do platinum. We do receipts. Boring mode engaged. I flipped into chain of custody. Read-only exports to a locked drive. Screen recorder crawling like a cat in a new house. Clicks loud on purpose. I dragged my cursor slowly across amounts while narrating under my breath for a judge that didn't exist yet. Observe the wild reclass in its natural habitat. Next, I made a timeline with 3 columns. Money, calendar, Instagram, and pinned them like butterflies. Money went first because it refuses to perform. Calendar, second. Every liar forgets to change a recurring zoom. Instagram last. Captions confess when the lighting is good. Patterns clicked. Chocolate and gold posts. Bloom Boutique double billed within 90 minutes. Marketing and supplies. Same 12 peonies. Pitch brunch weekend. Catering credit through a vendor we've never used. The credit lands in Ops Platinum. Monday selfie. Peonies earned, not given. My pen twitched woof in the margin and kept moving. Round trip showed up like an insult. Money leaves our account to a processor as supplier credit. Re-enters as refund to Ops Platinum at Mariner. Ping pong for toddlers. I sketched arrows on butcher paper because absurdity needs string. I wrote refund loop in block letters a jury could read from the hallway. I called mom between columns. Your sister says balances are normal, she repeated like she was reading tea leaves. For trampolines, I said. For payroll? No. For roses? Never. She went quiet. You don't disappoint my mother. You disappoint the pie cooling on her windowsill. Venmo gave me thrift comedy. Ethan paid my half of pitch brunch. I asked why. He wrote. She said simpler through the studio. We don't have a studio. I saved the screenshot next to Ops Platinum like a couple's photo from a wedding I didn't attend. I wanted verification in the wild. The candle bar clerk reprinted a receipt. Tip, generous enough to qualify as charity. Card ending 4421. Profile, Ops Platinum. The barista turned the POS so I could see saved profiles. O Lake. Business. 4421. Declined once, he said. She used another card, which meant more gremlins. I tipped like an apology to caffeine and walked out into air that felt like a witness. Mariner's business line required an authorized officer. On a different phone, I got a rep to confirm a profile with Managing Director Olivia Lake. We don't use that hat. Application verified via domain email, she added. Olivia at Lakeco Studio. Not our domain. Not our company. I thanked her in a voice that said I'd been wronged and wrote the time down twice. Now the fun detail. ACH2 Lake & Co 2 Studio. Equipment lease. Memo line chirpy as a jingle. The address? Their Craftsman on Magnolia, Succulent Graveyard, and a manifest mat on the porch. Equipment lease for what? Ring lights? I cross-checked with Ops Platinum charges at a hotel creative suite. Same weekend payroll reconciled. Reconcile in this usage means you stare at a hole and rename it. Document archaeology deepened. Vendor profile for Bloom Boutique shows email flip from our address to billings at Lake Coast Studio, then back the next day. Audit log recorded IP. IP mapped to Magnolia. I printed the WHO WIS lookup like a victory lap, then crossed out the exclamation point because judges dislike jazz hands. Calendar invites whispered their own jokes. Executive clarity, Zoom, repeated monthly, attendees, Lake, bookkeeper, friend with a Gmail that screams burner, notes, move hospitality to client retention, split florals, code retreat is training. The doc's revision history showed an edit at 2:13 a.m. after my first statement poll, repainting the getaway car while the tow truck backed in. I mapped Zara leather confidence to goat cheese budgets. Every time Olivia posted we're scaling, oysters scaled too. Every we invest in culture, a dozen peonies found a second life in supplies. Meanwhile, my team ate gas station burritos and called it R&D, research and digestion. I sent a summary to our bank SIU, suspected internal impersonation, cross-bank corporate card, ghost officer title, exhibits attached, Mariner header, Ops Platinum receipts, Bloom double, Cedar Loft folio, Espresso POS save, UPS store LLC filing. The auto-acknowledge pinged with a case number. Adults were awake. Then the $2.19 came back like a chorus. Board meeting. Glitter spa. I screenshotted it next to Maison Chevre, next to Cedar Loft, next to the refund loop, and let the petty geometry sing. I whispered, numbers don't lie. And for the first time all week, the room agreed out loud. The fridge kicked on, the printer exhaled, the building hummed that particular hum, competence warming up. Last check. Dad? You seeing anything? He asked, thumb on the ledger's spine. I'm seeing two banks, one ghost title and a sister who likes third-party affirmation, I said. He nodded once, the way men do when a wrench fits. Bring me proof, not smoke. I pointed at the pile. I brought you fire alarms and a sprinkler diagram. I labeled the top folder like an oath. Is it business or is it champagne? And clicked save. The cursor blinked. The $2.19 line blinked back. Underestimation had a receipt now, and I was done speaking in captions. Recon field trip, card, clerk, and clue. Start with the candle bar because the receipt ink was still warm in my head. The clerk clocked me as apology purchaser. I set my phone on the counter with the cropped invoice. Accounting lost a copy. Any chance of a reprint? She brightened. Totally. We keep profiles. Click clack. Little printer spits. Total. Generous tip. Card ending 4421. Profile name. Ops Platinum. She renamed it so the discount sticks, the clerk added, conspiratorial. Founder perks. Founder of what? Rings and adjectives. I smiled like oxygen. 2 blocks and 1 crosswalk later, the espresso place with the supplier credit theology. The barista recognized the shop logo on my hoodie and leaned over the POS like a gossip priest. You're the pump guy. Your sister's business profile is in here a lot. He tilted the screen. Saved profiles, neatly alphabetized. Lake. Business, 4,421. Nickname, Ops Platinum. He tapped it. A declined transaction flashed, then another accepted with a different card. She said limit thing and winked. People who wink at the register make me tired. I photographed the screen with his hand blocking other names, left a tip labeled Espresso Forensics, and promised to stop making his day interesting. The florist next. Bells on the door. Air that smelled expensive. We need duplicates for 2 invoices. Marketing and supplies. Same day, I said, holding the dates like a script. She printed, slid them across glass as if handing me heirlooms. Same order number inside 2 departments. Same employee initials. Timestamps 12 minutes apart. She explained department splits, the owner said, eyes apologetic. Said your company loves detail. We do, I said, folding both copies. Just different detail. Hotel lobby, Cedar Loft. Polished wood. A receptionist named Rhonda, whose tone could balance a tray of lawsuits. Accounting audit, I said. Can we get the folio for a creative suite charged to our company? She keyed, printed. Lake, Ops Platinum, business rate memo. She's here a lot, Rhonda added softer. Asked about our brand rate. I stared at the line item breakfast. 2 entrees, 1 extra espresso. Someone fueled their leadership. Bank phone tree roulette. Mariner Mutual's rep asked for the authorized officer. Our file list's managing director, Olivia Lake, she said, butter smooth, verified by domain email. I asked which domain. LakeKeco-studio.com, not ours. Can you send me KYC docs? With a subpoena, she answered, tone now stainless steel. We are preserving the profile. I walked the block to clear the hum in my head, then hit a UPS store to confirm the shell. Operations Services, LLC, rented box 314. We can't disclose, the clerk said, then glanced at my business card. But the name is on the door every morning. He smiled. Civic mischief. Back to our bank, in person. The manager who smells like policy lined up my evidence pictures like mugshots. Candle Bar, Espresso POS, Florist Twins, Cedar Loft Folio, Mariner confirmation. He dialed SIU on speaker. We have cross-bank impersonation, he said. Preserve and ping interbank liaison. On hold, he adjusted the stack until the edges matched. It felt like blessing. Ethan met me at a cafe with chairs that squeak when people lie. I slid him just enough. The Ops Platinum receipts with his Venmo cropped in. He read, throat working. We don't have a studio, he said softly. She said it was a bridge. Bridges don't swipe at Candle Commune, I said. He nodded, then handed me his phone. Emails. Reclass to client retention. Refund to Ops Platinum. Rename profile for auto discount. The memo line that broke something in me. Debt consolidation for Dad. Predictable receivables pledged like they were party favors. We hit one more counter, the Nat Pod place with executive in its name. The attendant leaned over the screen. Saved profile. Oh, Lake, 4421. She called it moving the needle, they said. We call it 20 minutes. I ended back at my parents' bench with printouts and petty fury arranged like a diorama. Candles, coffee, florals, hotel, pods, $30 bites with a $2.19 seed. I wrote the only word that fit under the pile. Pattern. Then I added the second. Paper. The quiet case. Timeline, deltas, and digital breadcrumbs. I built 3 timelines like a stubborn archaeologist who prefers math to pottery. Money, calendar, Instagram. Money on top. Transactions, ACHs, refund loops, merchant IDs. Calendar beneath. Board dinner goats, executive clarity Zooms, leadership retreat, Cedar Loft, Instagram last, launch energy, culture matters, peonies, earned not given. I drew lines until dates clicked. When 2 columns kissed and the third blushed, I circled in red. Patterns preferred daylight. The deltas came next. Debit columns minus any documented business activity. Weekends ballooned. Retreat weekends showed positive deltas the size of payroll. Monday selfies with peonies? Delta spikes plus duplicate bloom charges labeled marketing and supplies. I pasted goat stickers on goat weeks because even boring people deserve morale. I traced the refund loop with a ruler like a kindergarten teacher with a vendetta. Outbound supplier credits to a processor, mid-morning. Inbound refunds to Ops Platinum, Mariner, late afternoon. Same merchant descriptors, mirrored amounts, different receiving account digits. I printed the processor CSV and wrote refund loop beside a fat arrow for any future lawyer who hates curves. Public filings gave me her tells. Operations Services, LLC, UPS Store Box, Manager O. Lake, filed 2 months after her first culture reel. Lake & Co. Studio. Address equals their living room. ACH memo equipment lease lands monthly. Same day her content day stories go up. Predictable receivables. Dad, draft lived in a shared note with hearts in the margin like treason could be adorable. I exported with timestamps and swallowed the part of me that wanted to throw the phone. Vendor audit logs were a gift. Bloom Boutique's profile email flipped to billings at Lakeco Studio, then back. IP mapping to Magnolia. Espresso polls saved O Lake. Business, 4,421. Ops Platinum. Candle Bar showed founder discount linked to that same profile. Cedar Loft Folio printed O Lake. Ops Platinum. Business rate. Rhonda at the desk. She's here a lot. I stapled kindness to evidence and called it balance. Calendar archaeology bored me until it didn't. Executive clarity. Zoom. Repeated monthly. Attendees. O Lake. Bookkeeper. Friend Gmail. Notes. Move hospitality to client retention. Split florals. Reclass retreat as training. Revision history. Edited 2:13 a.m. 2 days after my first pull. Repainting getaway car. Tow truck already backing up. I screenshotted the timeline with the glow of someone who respects petty causality. I built a delta heat map for Dad. Grid of weeks, green to red. He doesn't love charts, but he respects anger that organizes itself. He ran a finger down a red weekend and grunted. That's the Cedar Loft Saturday, I said. He tapped the ledger's margin. Felt it here. Saw it there, I said, pointing at Mariner. We like sentences with nouns and verbs. We were fully nourished. Then the digital breadcrumb I'd promised myself I wouldn't need. Ops Platinum's application packet from Mariner required an officer title. File said, Managing Director, Olivia A. Lake, verified via Olivia at Lake Coast Studio, not our domain. Our company has 2 titles, Owner and Operations. I wrote misrepresentation in block caps because understatement belongs to clean shirts, not court. I mapped flows on butcher paper, our bank processor, supplier credit, Mariner Ops Platinum, Refund, Lake & Co. Studio, equipment lease. Cedar Loft, Bloom, Maison Chevre. Arrows turned the kitchen into a heist briefing, except the thief kept posting goats. I took a photo with a quarter in the corner for scale because judges love to feel tall. The incompetence comedy kept volunteering material. Duplicate peonies 12 minutes apart. Dog yoga as employee development. Nap pods as executive nook. A card nickname, Ops Platinum, showing up at a candle bar for client gifts. Then again for an espresso supplier courtesy. A EEPS mailbox masquerading as headquarters. If Olivia had AI generate a crime, it would choose eucalyptus, now chain of custody. Read-only exports hashed to a manifest. Screen recordings stored to jelly bean and cauliflower. 2 encrypted sticks that say do not steal in vegetable. Printed receipts quarter for scale. Audit logs preserved with IPs. I named the master binder, Is It Business or Is It Champagne? Court edition, and slid a sticky on Dad's page. Not smoke. Fire alarm. I prepared the bank packet with a cover memo that avoided adjectives like potholes, suspected internal impersonation, cross-bank corporate profile, unauthorized title use, refund loop, vendor email flips, Ops Platinum, ending 4421, exhibits A through H, candle bar, espresso POS, florist double, hotel folio, Mariner confirmation, UPS store LLC, Magnolia IP, calendar revision history. I added the $2.19 to the cover like a company logo. It blinked back, offended and perfect. I drafted the plain English declaration. For future me on a stand, who I am, how I got the data, what the patterns show, why the Ops Platinum profile is not ours, how the refund loop works like a toddler magic trick, why managing director is cosplay, and what happens to payroll if goats win. No metaphors, just nouns. Ethan texted at midnight, Is this my fault? I wrote back, No, but your name deserves better oxygen. He replied, I'm moving out tonight. I stared at the screen until the letters stopped shimmering. Then I added to consequences. Badge goes red. Ops Platinum frozen. Lake & Couple. Lease flagged. Ethan, new address. I set the packet on Dad's bench. You seeing anything? He asked, thumb on the ledger's spine. I'm seeing receipts that bite, I said. He nodded once. Good. Bring them to anyone who thinks candles are policy. I took the $2.19 printout, taped it to the front, and whispered the line that had become law. Boring wins. Then I dialed our bank's SIU, read the case number like a prayer, and let the hold music practice for court. Lawyer up. Freezes, notices, and stakes. My lawyer sounded like a stapler that learned manners. Crisp tie, neutral socks, voice built for affidavits. He flipped through, Is it business or is it champagne? Court edition. Paused at Ops Platinum, and nodded once like gravity had filed a brief. We go quiet, then we go loud, he said. Quiet first. Tro, preservation, interbank notice. Loud later. Receipts on a table where titles don't work. He drafted fast. Emergency application. Temporary restraining order prohibiting any financial access by Olivia. Preservation order for Mariner and our bank. Limited receivership over any account tied to Lake & Co. Studio and Operations Services, LLC. Subpoena deuce is to come for KYC packets, application signatures, IP logs, merchant archives. His cursor never hesitated. Mine shook a little and stopped when I gripped the $2.19 printout like a talisman. Evidence covers misrepresentation and siphon, he said.